Hi, Adam Gower here, and welcome to the first of two very special holiday podcasts, completely unrelated to real estate, but inspirational and utterly fascinating in their own right. Today's wonderful guest, as you will hear, is Sam Greenberg of Greenberg Smoked Turkey. Oh my goodness, I can smell and taste it now just thinking about it. For years, my in-laws have included in our holiday feasts one of Greenberg's smoked turkeys, and all I can say is that they are insanely delicious and have now become a tradition, starting with Thanksgiving every year. This last year, my father-in-law retold the story of Greenberg smoked turkey, and well, I figured I needed to hear it from the horse's mouth directly, or that's probably not exactly the right analogy, the turkey's gizzards or something anyway, I don't know. But that's what you're getting this holiday special part one, the story of Greenberg Smoked Turkey. An amazing tale. And by the way, you will not believe how many they sell each year. It's absolutely mind-boggling. To find out more about Sam and his turkeys, go to the podcast page at gowercrowd.com. And of course, while you are there, be sure that you click on the subscribe button at the top of the page to sign up for our free weekly newsletter all about the world of real estate, crowdfunding and syndication. It's totally free. You get all kinds of information and resources that you can actually use. Don't miss it. gowercrowd.com, it's all there. All right, now let's talk turkey. I'm extremely happy to introduce you to the wonderful Sam Greenberg of Greenberg Smoked Turkeys and a story that will make your mouth water. Sam, what an enormous pleasure to meet you. I'm so happy to meet you, actually.
Adam, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Well, I have been the joyful recipient of your turkeys for as long as I've been married now. Every single year we get one brought to us by my father-in-law, Jerry, Thanksgiving does not happen without one of your turkeys. Sam, let's go all the way back. I know that you emanated ultimately from Poland many years ago, 3 generations ago. What is the story of Greenberg Smoked Turkey?
Well, my grandfather came to this country and he landed in Tyler. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, he got to Tyler. He had a dairy where the plant is now. And he also had a blacksmith shop on the corner on the square downtown. So he had this dairy and he had a barn, and in the barn he had a smokehouse that he had built. And at different times of the year he would smoke turkeys or a chicken for different people, and it just progressed. And after he passed away, my father kept doing it, and it turned into a business. And here I am. I'm the 3rd generation that is smoking these turkeys. And I've got 4th generation in the office right behind me. I've got my son and my nephew here.
Now that's incredible. So how is the business built? I mean, actually, let's start with this. How many, I know this is a wacky question, but when Jerry, my father-in-law, talks about it, he said he's spoken to you, you do some mind-boggling or mind-gobbling number of turkeys.
Well, we do around 200,000 turkeys. We smoke about 2,400 turkeys a day. It takes 4 days for a turkey to go from one end of the plant where they come in raw, just like you'd buy them at the grocery store, and they come up through the plant. We thaw them out, we season them, trim them up, clean them up, put them in our smokehouses, smoke them, clean them up again after they come out of the smokehouse, put them in boxes and bags, and have them ready for the consumer. So and that's what we do. It's 4 days of magic.
It is magic. And how do you find? I know that, again, I'm just going to ask a lot of daft questions. You know, they say there's no such thing as a dumb question.
No dumb questions.
That's all I'm going to ask you today, unfortunately. It's that kind of thing. But where do you source so many turkeys?
Well, actually, our order is pretty small. Grocery store chains and things of that nature order a lot more turkeys. But we're real picky about size. because we sell to the consumer a 6-pound all the way up to 15-pound turkey. So we have to have turkeys that once they're smoked and they shrink up, match the sizes of what we anticipate selling. Grocery stores, they will most likely, they basically have about a 15-pound turkey because that's what most folks want in their kitchen when they're cooking, is about a 15, 18-pound turkey. But we need all types of sizes to accommodate our customers' needs. So that's the difference between what I order and what other folks may order. My order in size is not that large. 200,000 turkeys is nothing for a medium sized to large grocery chain. They order way more than that. So, but it's big to me.
And how do you smoke them? Like, what is how do you generate the smoke?
Well, it's everything. The preparation of the turkeys mimics exactly like my grandfather. The smoking mimics exactly what my dad built. Although I've built more smokehouses, that we're still using the same smokehouses that he built back in the late 40s, early 50s. I've added some, but it's still basically the same. But we take our rub that I hear through the grapevine came from my great grandmother. She developed this rub. My grandfather brought it here, and we still use it. But we put the rub on the outside, and we also put the rub inside the turkey, in pockets inside the turkey. And everybody thinks we have some mysterious way of doing that. It's not mysterious. We put it in the same way he did. Get a knife, cut a slit, and stick it in with our fingers. I've got a wonderful group of folks back in the back of the plant that treat every turkey like it's theirs, and they season them up all, some a little more, some get a little less, because it's all done by hand. Everything we do is by hand. And then we put them in the smokehouses that are literally old-fashioned brick smokehouses that hold anywhere from, depending on size, 100 to 125 turkeys. And we do it the old-fashioned way. We put them on meat hooks. We don't put them in bags or netting, but we put them on meat hooks, hang them from the ceiling, and let it go. And it's all hickory wood fires. There's no steam or artificial heat of any source, and it's all natural. We use hickory wood, stick it in there, start the fires, and go.
And the smoke itself cures the turkey, does it?
Well, no, curing. The definition of curing is the adding of nitrates and nitrites. That cures meat. That's what gives a lot of turkeys a pink color, which gives ham a pink color, because they're curing it with nitrates and nitrites. Our turkeys do not have preservatives. So, in turn, we don't have that pink color that is inherent with most cured products. But we use a lot of natural preservatives. Number one, salt is a huge natural preservative. The smoking does not hurt the preparation, because it puts that, and you'll be familiar, that dark coating on the outside. That inhibits the growth of a lot of different things. So anyway, the turkeys are just good, but they're done literally the old-fashioned way. And if you're looking for a non-commercially, that's hard to say, non-commercial, because we are a business and we're doing it commercially, but it's not done the way that most people would smoke turkeys.
Well, how would most people smoke turkeys?
They use it would be in a room about this size, and not a room, but it would be a structure, and it looks more like a big refrigerator. And they'd push racks into it. They'd start it up. They'd tell it what heat they wanted, and they'd inject smoke or smoke flavoring into the atmosphere of that room, for lack of a better choice of words. But they'd inject smoke in there, and they'd come out cooked. That's not a smoked turkey to me. There are very few. There are not many operations that do what we do on the scale that we do it.
When I said cured, I was using the wrong term. What I meant was you put a raw bird into the smoker.
Right.
Does the smoke cook the turkey? It takes it from being
Well,
raw.
the smokehouses are, around 135 to, no, not 130, 235 to 250 inside, and the turkeys stay in there for 12 to 14 hours. So they're being cooked. Let there be no mistake. They're being cooked, but there's the smoke builds up in there and it gives it that rich, dark color that we have.
And does it get hot as well in there?
Well, it's 250 degrees. So yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that you put a rub on the outside. So I like to have my father-in-law, my in-laws, they like to have one of your turkeys. That's absolutely mandatory. And then we also have a non-smoked boyd. And
Right.
I typically I'm the one that cooks those. And every time I try and prepare them and I try and season it, I always wonder what is the point of seasoning the outside? How can the flavor get into
Well,
the meat?
actually, it's because I believe it's because we put those slits in the breast and actually stick the seasoning in it.
Ah,
And then we let it sit. We don't stick it immediately in the smokehouse. The turkey that after it's been seasoned will sit for about 8 to 10 hours before it moves into the smokehouse. So it has a time to, for lack of a better term, marinate.
I see. And then is the seasoning do we know what the seasoning is? Is it like is that a secret seasoning or
I
is
don't
that something?
I don't know that we know. I know. No, I'm about it when it comes to who knows the seasoning.
Ah,
Now, there's some guys in the room next door to me that my nephew and my son they know, but it's a pretty closely held secret.
now, when I'm finding that actually my mouth is watering as I'm talking to. It's the only podcast I've ever recorded that's happened before. When a bird comes in at one end, let's call it a 15-pound bird,
Okay,
you say they shrink up. Do they
right.
lose weight? Like, what are the kind of the statistics around that?
35%, 35 to 40% goes down the drain. Water and fat, they cook out of it. That's why our turkeys shrink up. So they shrivel up on the outside. It looks, I liken it to a prune. They take on the color of a prune
Mm.
somewhat, and they shrivel up some. But a lot of the moisture cooks out, but that in no means, and you can attest to this, by no means are they dry. They're still tasty and moist, but they lack a lot of the fat that you would normally get in a bird that you might bake.
Mm. Now, when coming to buy a turkey, and I know you've got actually on your website, and I love the name of what is it, gobblegobble.com. How can you get such an amazing URL?
That was really lucky to get that.
It was lucky. Certainly not one that your grandfather got for you. Somebody in more
No, no.
recent years did that.
One of my nephews came to me with that name before I even really fully understood the power of the internet,
Mhm.
and we grabbed it up. But it's taken on a life of its own. I mean, it was very fortuitous that we got that.
Well, Sam, that's an interesting thing that you should say. How has the power of the internet affected your business?
It's changed it drastically,
Mm.
and it's a migration to a different, to a different point. We used to get our orders by mail or telephone.
Mhm.
Then it was telephone, mail, and fax. Then it was fax and telephone, and now it's the internet. And now I would say, I'm doing this off the top of my head, probably 70% of our orders come in either by an email, which might contain a large file, that we would in turn turn around and shove into our system, or they come in directly by folks such as yourself that would just key the order in and have it sent directly to themselves. And, you know, there's very little interaction with us and that actual order until it goes down the shipping line and gets a label put on it.
How many people do you employ there?
I have 14 full-time employees. And at this time of year, we go up to about 175.
Oh my goodness. And then, but you sell year round, do you?
Yes, we have turkeys year round. Most of the time, we'll have them year round. We run into some occasions when we'll run out of turkeys, and either we don't have the crew, we don't have the people that can come in free for a few days to help smoke some, or it's so close to the next season that we just choose not to engage in doing more and wait till that season comes.
It seems obvious, but I'm going to ask an obvious question anyway. The key seasons obviously are Thanksgiving, and presumably people like to have turkeys on Christmas Day for their Christmas lunch.
Correct.
Those, what are the volumes? How do your volume vary?
Well, and that goes back to how is it changing in the internet and things. Up until last year, I would have told you that Christmas is our largest season. While Thanksgiving is huge to us, Christmas was by far our largest season of the year. And it was usually, well, back 10, 15 years ago, I would have told you that it was about 60-40. Well, then it became about 7. Well, it started getting closer and closer. Well, last year it did a flip, and now we're selling more for Thanksgiving than we are for Christmas. And I'm anticipating, my only take from that is that we are a pretty premier item for the center of a Thanksgiving table.
Yes.
And as a Christmas gift, I think we are in competition with soap, candles, neckties, and sweaters, and
socks.
And yeah, so we have a lot of competition at Christmas time that we may lose out to, but what we're finding is our Thanksgiving business is growing by leaps and bounds. It's just interesting. It's always changing. You know, I liken this to a large lemonade, a lemonade stand on steroids. We work really hard for a few months out of the year. We sit back and figure out what we're going to do the next year. But the people's taste still desire our turkeys, and we're still selling turkeys. It's just when they're buying them is a little different. So we just go with the flow and have them ready, and make sure that we have the capabilities to smoke them and get them out as they choose to have them.
Are there any other occasions that you find people like to buy a smoked turkey?
Well, we try not to promote it much outside of this season. And I know that sounds crazy, but we really I don't want the problems of having to employ a bunch of people at other seasons of the year for a small amount of time, a smaller window. And it's just a matter of we like it the way it is for this holiday season. Now, that doesn't mean we couldn't have other products that we may promote at other times of the year, and that may be in the making in the near future. We don't know.
Yeah, it's funny you should actually mention this. My next question was going to be, do you have any ancillary products?
Well, we're you know, this business was built on my grandfather's recipe, and I'm pretty sure that in the not too distant future, we're going to have some products that were a favorite of my mother's, and do them on a commercial scale and offer them to the public. So we'll just have to wait and see what those are.
Now, your grandfather, when he came from Poland, and I read this actually in a recent article, he was a shochet, wasn't he?
That's correct.
He was a kosher butcher.
Right.
And he knew how to. So these were kosher birds that he was selling then.
That's right. That's what started the business. People would come in and say, could you kill me a goose or a turkey?
Mm.
Oh, and can you smoke one? And so he did that. And that's how it developed into, people coming to him, friends and family in this area, and they'd come to him and he'd kill their meats for them. And then as he got older and my father would help him, my father went to Texas A&M and got an engineering degree. And he came back to Tyler and would help his dad when he was working in the smokehouses at Christmas time and Thanksgiving. But he was always doing something else. But he'd always come back here at the holiday time. Didn't matter where he was working, he would always find time to come back here at the holiday. It might be 2 weeks, it might be 3 weeks as the season grew. And that's how the business developed. And, it was nothing for my parents to operate the business out of the garage at their house as far as the mailing list and keeping track of the orders and things like that. It was done very meagerly. It was done as they could, and it just developed into this.
Do you don't sell kosher turkeys today, though, do you?
We stopped selling kosher turkeys back in the 90s. I late 80s, 90s. I could not ensure the quality of the kosher turkeys that I was getting. And we didn't do that many of them. It had dwindled down. We were doing 200, 250. And it became very cumbersome to get the good quality turkeys and to also get the rabbinical supervision to oversee the kashrut. So we got out of that. It was a hard decision because that's what this business was based on.
Oh, it started. That's right. So now here's another one of my kind of dumb questions, but can't imagine why you would want to do this. But other than for vertical integration reasons, have you ever thought of farming turkeys?
No, I don't want any part of that. Right now, I can go to a processor, and I've gone to the same processor for probably 50 years now. But I can go to a processor and I can get the exact quality of turkey I want and the quantities and sizes that I want. If I was doing it all myself, I'd have to find an outlet and a way to get rid of all the other sub classes of turkeys, subpar turkeys, and anything else that I weren't going to use. So I just don't need that headache. We do a whole lot of business in a really short amount of time. And to have an ancillary business such as that, I don't know that I would be real happy.
Well, I many years ago got to know a fellow who was at McDonald's Japan. I learned a lot about McDonald's. It's a long story, and I won't get into it. And Ray Kroc was famous for just staying hyper-focused on the one business, burger and fries. That was it. He didn't farm, he didn't do wheat, he didn't do anything else. Just to stay focused.
Well, I'm real good at staying focused. I can, given a task put in front of me, I've always been able to get through it. Now, I might go a different route than the next guy. But I can get through most tasks. I'm sure you were aware 2 years ago we had a fire at the beginning of November and it wiped us out. And even during COVID, with COVID, at its peak, we were able to design, rebuild, and have new facilities up and running in 11 months.
That's incredible.
And that's because of the 14 people that I talked about that work with me, because of their dedication and their fortitude and my driving, we got everything done in 11 months, which most people would have said there was no way it was going to happen. Well, we did it. and we have the best facility we've ever had. So, now we're still arguing with the insurance company as far as, what's right and what's wrong, but, we're in business and everything's really good out here.
Now, Sam, what have been the obviously your third generation, you got a fourth generation in the back there, so you've been in this business for a very long time. What have been the pivotal moments throughout the growth of your company over the years?
Well, I'd say the worst time was the fire 2 years ago. Back in I've been doing this for 42 years. This would have been my dad's 83rd season if he were still alive. So we've been around a while, and we've been smoking turkeys the exact same way. There's always adversity. I don't care what business you have. There's always adversity, and it's not necessarily when everybody else has had, COVID affected everybody. But, in our business, we actually had good business because people wanted, instead of having one big turkey for their table and having several families sitting around that table, they sent turkeys to all those tables. They weren't able to come to there. So, we've had a boom in business in these last few years. Another big thing was back in 2003 when Oprah Winfrey still had her television show. We were featured as one of her favorite things, and that was a huge boom. I mean, but all these things are again fortuitous. I mean, they happen. We don't look for them. They happen. Oprah was a great thing. It happened. It wasn't something that we paid somebody to go and get us. We didn't pay for exposure or anything. It just happened. And people ask me all the time, what do you think? I said, if you take care of business and you do whatever your chosen product is, you do it well, the accolades and other things will come. You take care of your business and those things will come. That's what I've always felt.
Sam, what has been over the years, what has been the hardest lesson you've learned?
Well, I'm a caretaker out here. I'm a caretaker of the product that my grandfather, my father generated out here. I'm just a caretaker. The biggest thing I do is to ensure that the turkey you had when you were young and your dad would bring home the white box with red print on it is the same now that you're buying it and you're bringing it home to your kids. That's what I do. I ensure that everything's the same as when you grew up. That's what makes you come back as a tradition every year to get our turkey. And to me, that's my biggest job, is to make sure that the turkey you have today is the same as you remember it, and it's the same that it's going to be in years to come. And that's what I impress upon the next generation, is that that's what people come to expect. You've got to have the same quality, and you've got to ensure that that quality is the same all the time.
What gives you the greatest joy in what you do?
Well, just like when you called me, the enjoyment that people get out of eating our product, and this is going to be rude, but for people to think I'm some kind of celebrity, I'm not a celebrity. My birds are a celebrity on a lot of people's tables. All I do is ensure that they get there and that they're what you want, what you thought you were going to get is right there. It's a magical time of year. This time of year, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. 4th of July and Thanksgiving are my favorite holidays. And I want people to enjoy what they get from us because I know it's a big deal to them. And knowing that we do that is great. There was a truck that we ship them by UPS. There was a UPS truck that didn't make it to where it was going in Arizona the week of Thanksgiving. I had a lot of upset people. There's no doubt about it. I didn't know what turkeys were on that truck. I had no way of finding out what turkeys were on that truck. But I know I ruined a lot of Thanksgiving meals by turkeys not arriving. I hope that those people give me another chance. I hope they realize that was outside of my control. But as upset as they get, if you consider that's how badly they wanted my product, that's pretty heartwarming. That's a pretty neat deal that people want your product so bad. They literally call crying when it doesn't arrive. Now that's a horrible analogy, but people get so upset. But it's heartwarming that they enjoy our product so much that they want it that badly. That's pretty heartwarming. That this is the monument that my parents built.
It's a wonderful thing. All right, Sam, so what are the daily habits that you have that keep you going, make you successful and productive? And
I have a man that works next to me that's been here since 1977. My father hired him when I went off to college. He thought he would probably need some help, so he hired him. He's our right-hand man. I have a gentleman in the back that runs my plant whose father worked for my grandfather, started working for him when he was 15. He worked with my father, worked with my grandfather, worked with my dad, and worked with me until he passed away. I have people that are fantastic that oversee everything, the different areas, because I know I can't produce every turkey or answer every phone call. But I do know how to do every job. And I make sure that I walk through and that everybody knows that not only do they have an interest in this product, I have an interest in this product. And I think that's one of the biggest deals is when an owner of any business tries to run it through, by absentia, you got to be there. You've got to put eyes on it, and you've got to show the people that are doing it with you that you're just as committed to it as they are. And I think that makes a bigger deal as far as the quality. I'm through the plant every day. I'm at the bank. I'm through the plant. At the post office. I mean, those are my routine things to do. But the biggest thing is just fielding calls. If you call here and you want to talk to me, ask for me. I'm here because I don't shy away from calls. I think I put out the best product in the world. But those are the things that I do. It's because it's got my name above the door.
Sam, I have to tell you, it was amazing when I called 2 days ago and left a message. I actually had little confidence that anybody would call back, and 5 minutes later, oh my goodness, you immediately cover. Who am I? You didn't know me from Adam, but you called me back. I really appreciate it. It's very kind of you.
But and we don't. And I'm going to say this. I hope this didn't happen, but we don't. I don't want them asking why people are calling. If you want to call and talk to me, give me your. I may not be right there to answer the phone right then, but I will get back to you. I'm proud of this place, and anybody that calls out here and wants to talk about it, I'm ready to talk about it. It's the finest. This is the neatest place. This is the next best thing to being retired. I work really hard for 3 months out of the year, and I oversee the finest group of people you could ever hope to manage. And it's great. And let's not forget, I've got the best customers in the world.
Of course. All right. So as we wrap up, let me just ask you a couple last very, very practical questions.
Right.
I said that we'd try and get this out December 20th. You said, too late. So when is the best time to order one of your turkeys?
As long as we have a few days, and the turkeys, they sometimes we run out, but as long as we have time to get it to you, you can order a turkey. That being said, if you can order before the week of Christmas, we'll get a turkey to you.
And Thanksgiving, like how long in front of Thanksgiving?
If you'll get your order in the weekend before Thanksgiving, I'll get a bird to you.
All right,
We
my
can get them
last.
out and get them to you.
And what have you found? My last question. What have you found is the perfect complement for one of your turkeys?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, my mother-in-law's dressing, but okay. Since you asked, my favorite way to eat turkey, I need a knife, the turkey, and a jar of mayonnaise, and I'm happy. And a cold beer.
Oh my goodness, what just a fabulous way to go out. Sam Greenberg Smoked Turkeys. What an enormous pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much for
The pleasure was mine. The pleasure was mine.
That was Sam Greenberg of Greenberg Smoked Turkey. To find out about Sam, go to the podcast page at gowercrowd.com and be sure to sign up for our weekly newsletter. And if you are listening to this in time, make sure you go ahead and get a Boyd from Sam directly. You will not regret it. They're absolutely fabulous. Sam, thanks so much for joining me. What a pleasure it was to meet you. It's really a delight. And I really enjoyed talking to you about your story and to hearing everything about it. And of course, to you too, dear listeners, it is the holiday season. I hope you enjoyed this first of 2 holiday podcasts. I'll see you next week for the second. In the meantime, be well, stay safe. And for now, this is Adam Gower signing off.